Welcome to the Cherry Picker, the horror movie podcast where we like to kill people, but not really. I'm your host, Zach Cherry, and with me, as always, is...
You stupid bitch, you filthy slut! I'll teach you to fuck with me! Eddie of Edward is Truth.
And today we are talking about the OG Child's Play, released November 9th, 1988.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all we got for you. Good night.
That's all we got. Yeah. Bye, it was fun.
Yeah, this is okay. Because
Is that really all you've got?
I mean, it may as well be.
Or where to start? Where to start?
Well, I was going to say, this is... We've had conversations before, and this is...
Yeah.
like, and we obviously did the podcast, I think it was back episode 14 of season 1 of the Chucky, the series, which is now out, in its second season. And we've talked about this, and I think it's like for both of us, it's among our favorite horror franchises. Yeah. And it wasn't always for me, not that I, had an unfavorable opinion towards it, but it's really been recently, because like the things that I appreciate more with my franchises are continuity. And we won't really get too much into the series here. We're just talking about the 1988 movie. But this series as a whole is the most faithful to its continuity other than anything. I think the closest is Scream that we've talked about. And there are some continuity errors with those movies, which we'll talk about
more every year,
which we'll talk about in a few months. But Child's Play / Chucky, I don't know, what is it called now officially? Is it the Child's Play franchise or is it the Chucky franchise?
It's the Chucky franchise because I think Child's Play is owned by Universal still, but Chucky can live on independently, I'm guessing.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, and that's why we got that remake. But we won't talk about that. No. But the thing that's so great about that, just because it is so faithful to the continuity, is that this franchise really does feel like a television serial, and I think that's why it's finding this new success as a series. And because of that, I really look at this movie because a lot of people they'll go through their franchises and usually they'll say like the original is always the best. And I don't necessarily think that with this franchise. In fact, I don't think that this is the best movie in the franchise, but this definitely feels like a pilot episode to me. It's like this is even if, like, whether it's like episode 1 or episode 0, this is like the humble beginnings of a show and characters that it's still very basic here, but we're going to see them expand. We're going to see the universe expand and grow over the course of 7 movies and now 2 seasons of a television series. So that's kind of, that helped me really, like, get a new perspective into this movie. Because I actually have watched this twice within the last month. Because I just got it on 4K, so I watched it, and then I watched it again not last night, the night before, just to brush up for our episode here.
Nice. No, I agree with you in terms of I think what I'll kind of like piggyback on what you're saying is I feel like if you get it right the first time, it's a lot easier to continue to develop. You don't really have to improve per se, but I mean there's a wonderful kind of foundation with the humor, with the horror for some, because I know some full-grown adults who still find Chucky disturbing and don't want to watch anything, because even if he's cracking jokes, something about like a doll coming to life is still very, touch and go for some people. And not me, but but also just like an emotional foundation. Like I remember hearing interviews with Oh, I'm gonna forget everybody's name now. Um, the mom. What is her wonderful name? Catherine Hicks. I knew it was Catherine something. I remember seeing an interview with Catherine Hicks talking about working on this film, and they shot in Chicago first and did all the people stuff basically. They didn't shoot the puppetry and all of that until she got back to L.A. And she worked so hard as an actress, or actor, on her background, her backstory, and the specificity of her relationships to her child, to her friends, to her dead husband and stuff like that, and was working like an actor does, and was kind of convinced she was making this drama about a single working mother. And then when she got back to Hollywood, it was like, oh right, there's a monster in this. It's a killer doll. I forgot. And I can feel it in her performance, because there's a sincerity, there's an earnestness that isn't tongue-in-cheek at all, but at the same time doesn't take itself so seriously that there's a dissonance between his storyline and hers. There's this wonderful clash, this collision of tones between Chucky's presence and hers.
Yeah, she kind of described it as like it was a mystery thriller. That was like how she had perceived it initially before the horror passed through the doll.
Which is absolutely right for Karen Barkley, because it is a mystery thriller for her until she makes the discovery about Chucky, and then it continues to
the
be
batteries.
But now she has to find out, like, okay, how did he get this way? Yeah. And what can I do to stop him? Because people think my child is crazy, and now I know he isn't. And then you've got also actors like Brad Dourif and Chris Sarandon. I don't usually give the Oscars much it's the word respect. I mean, or just I don't the gravitas. Yeah, much credence. That's a very good word. I don't really give them much credence, because how do you rate performances? And even if you could, I don't think they always get it right.
And just the fact that they've just ignored the horror genre for so long. They're only now starting to, like, oh well, this is prestige enough that we'll
I mean, there was a time with like Sissy Spacek and Piper Laurie and Carrie, and even Linda Blair in Exorcist, and things like that, like where they would, like, but we're talking decades ago, and I'm waiting for a time like that to like resurface. Anyway, but that said, Chris Sarandon and Brad Dourif are both Oscar nominees. I believe, I didn't double check this, and I think I checked it once before and I was right. I believe they were nominated the same year, actually, for Best Supporting Actor. Chris Sarandon for Dog Day Afternoon, and Brad Dourif for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. But they might have been a year apart. I can't remember. Yeah. But so you've got like strong actors that have been lauded, who are coming and offering their talents with this movie, and not just but also not just an earnestness. Like, there is a level of reality, like of undeniability to everything they're doing, but they're also bringing humor, like in a way that I feel is timeless. And if you had lesser actors in those roles, it might not be as timeless. If that makes sense.
No, I get it. And I just wanted to say, of the Academy Awards, I feel the entire thing is basically like a giant hand job to Hollywood. Yeah. Because no movies that are nominated or win Oscars are made as movies. Like, they're specifically tailor-made to be Oscar bait. Like, to be presented at this prestigious award ceremony. And that's the problem. That's inherently the problem with the Academy Awards, is that it shouldn't be, it's almost like that kid in class who's like always raising their hand, like, pick me, I know the answer. That's what these movies are, where it should, like, the Oscars should be recognizing the movies who are, not like the ones like
angsty
over
and in
here,
the corner,
look at me, like the ones that are just like doing their own thing, and we're like, hey, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, the weird artsy kid.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, you know what? That's because that's how you appropriately assess the talent that goes into like every body of work that exists. And if they started to do that, then Yeah.
And there's a formula. It's evolved, or I don't know about evolved. How about it's morphed through the years and kind of like changed what it is. Like post 9/11, there was a whole other thing. If you look at the Oscar nominees prior to that, and lately, there's also just in terms of performances, been a lot of attention paid to actors giving performances playing other famous people, because it's easier to measure a performance if you can see they got the voice, they got the cadence, they got the body language, and they got the look. So yeah, give them an award. We can judge that, as opposed to someone who's creating something originating something that is not based on any other material to reference.
We talked about Hollow Man a few weeks back because that was nominated for an Academy Award for visual effects,
special effects,
which it didn't win, but I mean to be nominated. So I wasn't sure, like, have any of the Child's Play movies been nominated for anything? Because I mean, like, there is some really impressive work that's went into the puppetry and the animatronics. But before we really get into that, do you have a premise that you would like to grace us with for anyone who is not familiar with this movie?
We'll keep it
or
simple,
just wants to catch up.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with the movie, folks, give yourself a treat and watch it. Okay. Should I try? Chucky, I'll try.
No, don't do it.
No, try and fail.
Well, do whatever feels right for you if you want to do it.
I'll learning curve, folks. If I don't nail a Chucky impression, don't blame me. Okay. Okay. A single mother gives her son a much sought-after doll for his birthday, only to discover that it is possessed by the soul of a serial killer. See, I didn't nail it. Child's Play. I didn't prepare one, and there's a lot going on, folks. Okay.
We'll work it out. We'll get there.
I'm watching this movie. I'm preparing for the After Dark pod. Like there's a lot going on in my life these days. Yeah. But you get the gist. You know what it's about. It's Child's Play. Come on.
Yeah.
All right.
I did want to kind of mention something because you were talking about Catherine Hicks and her preparation for the role.
Yes.
Because something I found particularly funny, which should not really be funny, is just sort of like her interactions with Andy in that first scene, because there's almost this weird, dare I say, like battered wife response from her when she's opening the gifts, and then the immediate disappointment that it's not the good guy doll but the toy set, and she, without like missing a beat, she's like, Andy, I know we've just been really tight on money, don't be mad. And I don't know if, like, was there something that was going on with the deceased husband, or is Andy just kind of like a terror? Like, I don't
No, I never got that.
Are you familiar?
Oh my God.
Are you familiar with a cartoon called Caillou?
I'm familiar with it. I've never seen it, but I have.
Not that I'm like comparing or saying that Andy is a Caillou. But this is definitely the most annoying Andy out of the franchise. But to, no fault of Alex Vincent or the writing or anything like that. But Caillou is essentially, it's a Canadian cartoon, and parents hate it because it's essentially this 4-year-old bald kid who is essentially like a sociopath in the making. Like, he goes around and he whines about everything, and he's like, but mom, dad, like just essentially getting everything that he wants by complaining. And every episode, there's no moral, there's no lesson. He basically goes through life just doing what he's doing, and like whatever happens, and he usually comes out on top. So parents are like opposed to it. Like, they will not let their kids watch it because it's like training them to to be little monsters.
With no consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there are no consequences at all. I'm surprised that like the show even exists. It's ridiculous. They made fun of it on Family Guy, and there's some like really good parodies out there of like adult Caillou. But anyway, I just watching like young Andy, like just like making this breakfast, like clearly like making a huge fucking mess, wasting all this grocery. Like, here's Karen Barkley. She's obviously on a budget. She's working in a department store. She couldn't even afford this gift that he wanted. And why do you think?
Right.
Because you're wasting like $15 worth of groceries and burning the shit that she can't even eat.
Okay, I don't think this is a daily practice for Andy. I got the impression that it was like kind of a special occasion. It's his birthday, yeah. For a treat, like, and maybe to like really butter his mom up, like, you know, I'll pre-thank her with this breakfast.
Slab like a big like half a container of butter on that burnt toast. No, I agree. Terrible. That's not a daily practice. But it is cute that she's kind of like, you know what? I'm gonna eat this later. Whereas just like, I know that if I had done that at Andy's age with my mom, should have been like, what did you do? Like, oh God, this mess. Like, I gotta be at work. And
well, I was trying to remember while I was watching it, like, and I think I often go to this place when I watch the movie when I was 6 years old and ask myself, like, what kind of job would I do if I were fixing breakfast in bed for my parents? And I think I don't know how often I made it for them, but I know that like I was capable of opening a box of cereal and pouring it into a bowl and filling it with milk without spooning. I mean, I do have to say I did spoon extra sugar into every cereal that I ate. My favorite was Frosted Flakes.
As if there's not enough sugar in.
I know, right? Yeah. But I really liked, okay, hold on, little nostalgia moment. I don't like it anymore, but I really liked as a kid spooning the granulated refined sugar into the milk because it would kind of turn gray. And I liked
it'd be like scooping it up, sludge or like a paste.
Yeah. And I loved just kind of scooping it up and seeing a little bit in my spoon with some milk and maybe a couple Cheerios or something, or Frosted Flakes or Trix or whatever I was eating. But I think I would have known better than to even add sugar to my parents' cereal. Now, buttering toast, I don't know if I mastered that until maybe my early teens, but or you know, late single digits. Like by 8 or 9, I think I could butter my own toast.
You know what? At least he's trying. At least Andy's trying. we'll give him that. But just going back to her response, because it was like, well, first she does like the clothes. She's like, yes. you don't want boring old clothes. Like, why don't you open she's even like, maybe you should open the small one first. But just like it's like she was already anticipating his disappointment, and she's just like, please don't be mad at me. You know, it's almost like 13 Ghosts, like Kalina are just like, don't be mad at me. I did everything you wanted.
I never got that from that moment. I always just thought it was it again. No, but I always just thought I always attributed it to just like knowing you're going to disappoint your child, knowing exactly what your child wanted and not being able to give it to him because you didn't know about it. Like she puts it all out there on the table. And even the thing that hooks me is he's got this kind of reserve. Like he's not smiling through his pain, but he almost there's something in his behavior in that moment where he's just kind of looks down, but then kind of looks at her kind of like it's almost like his behavior is just saying like, it's okay. I understand, you know, like, and it's so
passive aggressive
or child of hardship, like to know, because it's of course especially children of the 80s are going to be materialistic freaks. I was, and I know if I didn't get something I wanted, I can't hide anything anyway. If I'm disappointed, to this day it registers on my face. But as a kid, you know, even when you try to like, oh, that's okay, it's fine. You know, you go up in your upper register and you're just, you know, you don't want them to feel bad, but you do feel bad because it's your little world, your ownership. The only thing you own are your toys, really, and your Halloween candy. That's pretty much it as a kid.
I do also want to point out that Andy Barkley is a Scorpio.
And how do you know this?
Because it's November 9th.
Okay.
It's Scorpio season.
He's a November Scorpio, though.
Well, they're apparently better, from what I understand. But yeah,
but where did you read this?
Because it's canon. It's in like the newspaper. It's just like
no.
Charles
That October Scorpios are worse than November Scorpios. Where did you read it?
I don't know. Maybe that's just my own thought process.
Assessment.
Because I am an October Scorpio. I just anytime that I can canonize a character to be like of the same zodiac sign as me, I always get giddy. And you had that with Tree in Happy Death,
right?
But there was like it's funny that like she says like I didn't know about this in time. It's just like, please, like this kid has like good guy everything. Like good guy is like this huge thing. It's like there's a television show which is like Barney. Did you see how like disturbingly creepy that like big good guy thing was?
But very, very 80s. Like it makes me think about kind of like Shamu at SeaWorld or like it's not quite Mickey Mouse like level like it is. It looks kind of shoddily put together, like HR Puffin stuff. That's what I get from
I was thinking like Chucky. Barney, but that might be more 90s.
Or Good Guy. That's more 90s. But that said, they did introduce in the episode or in the commercial or whatever. I mean, the episode basically is a commerciol. Yeah. But they did introduce the doll as kind of like the toyetic show. Thank you, Joel Schumacher, for giving us. I mean, they told you at Warner Brothers toyetic, but you gave it to the world, and thank you, Joel Schumacher. But anyway. Batman and Robin reference, folks. Look it up if you didn't get it. But no, in the ad, as it were, he's finding out about the little talking Chucky doll for the first. It looks like with the wow and all of that. So it's still kind of relatively new. So she might have just found out about it like on the in like a penny saver or something. You know, like some kind of like little Toys R Us catalog or something like maybe 3 weeks ago, and was like, fuck. I bought food. Oh,
it's weird. It's weird that they would like. Well, first we're gonna release like the good guy tool set, but we're not actually gonna release the doll for it yet. I don't know. The good guy marketing strategy is very peculiar to me.
Yeah. Well, the whole movie's peculiar, but also, I mean, even just like the level of he does get actual tools, like an actual saw and an actual hammer, and like you see actually when Aunt Maggie's taking care of him later, can't remember if it's that night or the next night. I think it is that night. Whenever he gets the Chucky doll, she's babysitting with him, and he's sitting there constructing a truck out of wood blocks. Like he is full on. If he's using that hammer, that means he's using nails at 6 years old. And that just blew my mind because I never had access. I'd never had an interest in hardware as a child. I wanted ready-made toys. I didn't want erector sets or building blocks or anything. I mean, maybe Lincoln Logs. But
that's the thing. Like, you know, like toys literally did kill children back in the day. I mean, few and far between. Like the child would have to be really stupid and irresponsible. But you know, that's why as we moved, there used to be this thing. I don't know what it was called, but it was like a half, not a cylinder, like a sphere. Like it was like sort of a like you would fold it inside out and it would like pop up at you. It would like a suction-y sort of thing. And I had a few of those, and you would like fold it and you would just like press it against a surface, and then a few seconds later it would like bounce up. And I guess they're like just urban legend that I heard is just like some kid lost their eye, so they took that off the market. So I remember like that when I was a kid, that was sort of like the end of the dangerous toys, because as we got to the 2000s, things got a lot safer, and everything had to be padded, and you couldn't have things that you could choke on. They even like Legos, they used to have like a minifigure head, as it is, like it just had like a solid, like you've seen what they have on it's like a stud on the top. So they now make them with like there's a hole in the stud. So if like a child was to like eat that, there would still be an airway for them to breathe through if it was like lodged into their throat. Yeah, because that's how stupid kids are these days.
Yeah, that is pretty stupid. I never ate any of my Legos when I was a kid. I had them too, and I liked them, but I liked them, so I didn't want to eat them. But my sister did chew her Barbie doll feet. Anyway, all of her Barbie doll's toes were gone. Trying to get a slip-on, like, kind of wedge on one of her Barbie, couldn't do it.
Your sister's listening to this, and she's just like, fuck you.
Oh, she doesn't listen to this. She hears me talk enough in life. But I'll tell her that I mentioned her. Maybe she'll listen for herself. I doubt it. But anyway, back to Andy. There's also something I get because I watch this movie often, but I haven't seen it in a minute, and I was just looking at Andy, and I'm only maybe about 3 or 4 episodes into season 2 of Chucky. No spoilers or anything. I'm not going to say anything, but just kind of knowing enough about Andy's arc throughout the franchise, where he kind of lands. If I know where he lands, there's a question mark, but I'm just looking at this little 6-year-old boy and just thinking, God, kid, you poor thing. You got some hard days and hard nights ahead of you. You're gonna become you don't even know how fucked up you're gonna be. And I don't know.
This is the trauma. This is like Halloween writers, David Gordon Green. Pay attention to Andy Barkley. He's had a rough life.
I think they did, because if we can jump ahead a little bit, there is an Allison moment for Andy in this movie, and I'm like, I think of it as the Allison moment just because it's so set up to be a moment, but Andy did it first, and it's happening when his mother is, I think she's trapped Chucky in the fireplace, and she's holding, the what do you call it, the guard up against it, and she's trying to get the matches because the gas is on, so she can like light them on fire and everything. And I don't think at first anyway, she's even asking for help from Andy, but he's just kind of standing there stunned, like a little boy, because he's scared. And he's like, oh my gosh, I've been taught gas, is flammable, and this is something we shouldn't do. And here my mom is trying to light him on fire, and he's standing there stunned for a long time. And then finally he makes the decision to run up and grab the match and strike it. And we have that great exchange between him and Chucky. But I was like, oh my God, he got a fucking Allison grabs the knife moment from 2018. But no, he had to make the choice to go from being a victim to being like a proactive fighter.
Well, even a parallel to Allison in 2018 is like the last shot of the movie is like a freeze frame of Andy kind of looking back through the door.
Yes.
Or like
and
Allison
with
just
the knife.
like the knife freeze frame. Yeah.
Wow.
But I was thinking more of like,
I
was thinking more like Andy, Laurie Strode, just like her 40-year. We're not gonna go into. We always somehow end up in Halloween.
All roads lead to Halloween and Scream.
It's true. Yeah. All I'm saying is that Andy has had a way harder life than Laurie Strode ever did, at least in that timeline.
He was 6. Yeah, he's had a lot. He's had to come up against. And this is just the first movie of him as a child. There's more. There's more to come. Mm-hmm. So, but at the same time, I found it kind of. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just the state of the world the last 3 years or something. But I find, particularly my country, but because I'm in the U.S. But things have felt kind of bleak lately, and sometimes there's moments of hope, and there have been. But a lot of times I just kind of feel like there was this idealism that I had as a child that I don't really court that much in myself. I don't really nurture that in myself, but kind of seeing Andy as a child and knowing what he's going to grow up to be, it kind of made me feel more included. I was just kind of like, yeah, life is tough. It's nice being a kid when the most important thing to you is your birthday present. Yeah. But things change, my friend. You're going to turn on that doll the way he turned on you, and you're going to be mortal enemies, and it's going to be your calling, and that's who you are now.
Yeah.
Sorry to get so bleak, folks, but I identified with it. It made me, I don't know, it just kind of felt like it's another thing that makes the franchise like totally work for me, because if it's not plausible, if it can work as some kind of tangible metaphor for what people actually go through, which I think it can, I'm all for it. Like that's right in my wheelhouse, especially within the horror genre.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, I actually, what I like and what I glom onto of the original Child's Play is that it's not like the suburban kind of horror that eventually becomes the second one, which I do prefer, but I like the fact that we're seeing kind of a different like socioeconomic side of like what a traditional family is. Because that was kind of my upbringing. Like, my father wasn't in the picture either. He passed away when I was really young. So it was me and my mother living in an apartment building. Obviously, I never had a killer doll, but you know, there's at least that aspect of it. You know, I could relate to, and I liked that. That's why I say, like, I like that I see this as kind of like a pilot episode, because it's like every Child's Play movie is so different from the last that we don't see the same thing. We're not going to see another scenario like this of like a young child living with their parent or their single parent and you know, getting this birthday gift and living in a high-rise apartment, or not a high-rise, but you know, one of those like old style. They're in Chicago, right?
They're in Chicago, yeah. But they have the fastest elevator in a building that age. Like, that is a fast elevator. Anyway,
it is. And she was running after it really fast too. But
she was.
Really cool architecture. Like, I'm thinking back to our like single white female episode, or even like the building from Rosemary's Baby or things like that. So. Yeah, like I love settings like that, because you don't see that in every horror movie.
No, I even got echoes of like Cabrini Green when Detective Mikey and Karen visit Chucky's place, and they see that mural that's painted with I can't remember the name of his like voodoo mentor.
Was that Cabrini where they went down to?
No. I just got an echo. I just got a feel for it. I was just kind of like, because I don't know. It's this like elaborately colorful kind of mural. I actually prefer the artwork in Cabrini Green to the mural that Chucky painted of himself naked, kind of worshiping at the feet of the man who calls him an abomination a little later. I don't remember do we ever find out his name?
The voodoo priest?
Yeah.
Let me look.
I'm looking on IMDb right now, and I can't find it. I guess he's Dr. Death?
That sounds about right.
Okay. There's no picture, so I can't tell, but I think, that sounds about right. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just call him Dr. Death, I guess.
Death. Yeah.
Why not? But I mean, it just makes me think, like, Zach, if you had to paint a mural in your home of you naked worshiping at the feet of anyone, who do you think it would be?
Probably Michael Myers, or
oh my god, that's so creepy.
I know, right?
I mean, when people come over, that's the thing, like, but I guess he didn't have too many visitors. I mean, he's Charles Lee Ray. I wonder what Tiffany thought of that mural. I mean, she's not in the picture
she wasn't canon yet. But I don't think that was his apartment, because I mean, not to get into the series too much, because maybe he just had like multiple living spaces. Like, he had an apartment with Tiffany. He had his house with Eddie Caputo. So there is just like
where Eddie was squatting. That's true. Maybe he was just kind of a man of many. I mean, there were other secrets revealed throughout the franchise too, where he had established, shall we say, linkage with people. So
here's a question: how would you feel if because we already see that the series kind of plays with time and retconning. I would be interested to see, just because in this movie we don't really see Chucky's perspective for the first like half of the movie, would you ever want to see like just him waking up in the doll for the first time and just like his that initial like, well, here I am. Like what? Like, you know, like,
see, you should have done the premise.
What am
Your
I
Chucky
gonna do
is
now?
so much better than mine.
I gotta
tried
get
to
out
get him
of
to
this
do it,
body.
folks.
See, that wasn't very good.
That is amazing. No,
Are you
that's
telling
amazing.
me I'm? Are you telling me I'm stuck in this body?
Yes.
No, I don't think that was very good.
It's perfection. Oh my god! All I can do is like lines that already exist, like "Hi," but
you stupid bitch! You filthy.
yeah. There you go. Yeah, you can court the Brad Dourif more so than I can, and I respect that. But But okay, so would I want to see that? Yes. Oh my god, absolutely.
Yeah, just how he came into the possession of the peddler. Well, I mean, they explain like he lifted it from the blown out toy store.
Exactly, from the debris, I guess, as it were, because it got struck by lightning.
But there were so many. There were hundreds of those dolls. So just like the fact that it was like that one specifically.
I wonder if, like, also because it was unboxed, if they thought it might be damaged or contaminated or something like that, so they can't just repackage it and sell it, like, maybe just throw it out, and then that's how the peddler found it.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, because, I mean, it could have just still been in a dumpster behind the structure, and he could have, but who knows? I don't know. But, I mean, yeah, of course, I love seeing behind the scenes shit or, you know, like unexposed moments. I mean, there are tons of them in this franchise anyway moments we come back to where you think you know what was going down and then you find out like one crucial detail and go, dude! So I'm all about that. Yeah. I would love to see that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But another thing that I love seeing that's established in the first movie, and I feel like it becomes kind of a hallmark of the movie certainly, is the mishandling of the Chucky doll. And I don't think it was done necessarily with the intention of like kind of setting a premise or anything like that, but it did work when I think Aunt Maggie is the first one to pick up Chucky just kind of like by the arm and just yank him, to the point where they had done enough takes. I remember seeing in the commentary, like she had done so many takes just yanking him that the seams started to come undone between the arm and the rest of the doll. So when you actually see it, when she's carrying Chucky into Andy's room and carrying Andy in the other arm, like you can see the shirt is just stretching, you know, like to almost to a thread. And that was just because people kept telling her, just be really, really careful with the doll. And for some reason, throughout this franchise, anytime the crew told the actor to be really, really careful with the doll, just don't drop him or just don't yank him or just don't. The actors always did it anyway. And I don't know if that was just like willfulness or I don't like the way you asked me.
It kind of works, though, because it's just kind of like, totally I'm going to kill you more for yanking my arm, bitch. I remember specifically, I think it was Bride of Chucky, because it was like Tiffany got it when what's-his-face took them out of the trailer and like banged her head on the way out. And it was just kind of oh, she ain't gonna like that. But
absolutely.
Okay, there's something unique about this movie that I don't think is in any of the other ones, where Chucky literally, like, he's becoming human as the movie goes. Like, the plastic becomes more flesh-like, the eyes become more like human-like, and then the hair, like the receding hairline by the end, like he's just like full-on becoming like it may as well have been Brad Dourif's like likeness on the doll by the end.
I've heard Don Mancini address it. He talked about like writing the scripts for the subsequent films and just said like adding that element, like it made sense for like the first movie because it's a good gimmick. It's a good way to kind of like say, okay, there's a cutoff time. There's going to be a time where he will cease to be able to pass into Andy, and then he's going to be really ballistic about that because now he's trapped in the doll. But he said like it became less and less, not even plausible, but just I guess less tenable, like less something that you wanted to keep writing about. And also the audiences didn't really seem to care that much about it either. We were all just there to watch Chucky be funny and kill people.
Yeah, and it's not something that you really catch on to, because it's the transition is very seamless as well. Like like I watched this movie many times, and I'd known this from before, but even seeing it, like because they used, I think, like 8 or more dolls throughout the whole process.
Right.
So it is like very subtle with each movement. I think like the first time you really see it is in that, like, you stupid bitch, you filthy slut, because that's when he really comes to life for the first time to her.
I gotta say though, like, it doesn't really work on me anymore, but I just have a distinct memory of the first time I watched this movie all the way through, because I did not see it in theaters. I was too scared. I guess I was around 8 years old when it was in theaters, and also I guess what was it rated? Was it rated R? I don't even remember.
Probably, yeah. I don't know.
Okay, whatever.
That's US, we got it.
Yeah. Whatever it was, I remember seeing the commercials, and that was enough to terrify me. And then I think we got not my class, but the class a year older than me. I went to this small private school in the hills, and I remember they all got signatures from their parents to watch a movie that was either PG-13 or R, whichever one this one is. And so then those who got permission got to sit there, and those who didn't had to, like, go to the office, to the principal's office or something. And but they got to watch Child's Play. Most of them did, and I had to run an errand for my teacher and deliver a message to the teacher next door. We could already hear kids screaming, like, very thin walls. And I remember walking in and seeing they'd already seen most of the movie, but I got to see the moment, because I was too scared to even look at the screen. But I remember seeing out of the corner of my eye the moment where the little feet. It's when Andy's already, like, incarcerated, shall we say, and his doctor has the little thing planted on his head. The little Chucky feet come over, and the hands just plant something on his head to electrocute him. And just seeing the little feet run into the shot and watching them kind of crown him with this thing that I knew he was going to use to electrocute him. Like, you see a gadget like that, you know what it's for. And I remember just, like, something about, like, how agile he was and the quickness with which he moved, and the fact that there were almost little Muppet hands, that I had only ever seen in friendly kind of situations. And the circumstances were suddenly very, very dark, and I was unmade. I was just kind of like, okay, please, did you read that? Okay, I have to leave. And I left, and I was exhilarated but scared, and I didn't watch it until many years later. That said, the next thing that scared me when I watched it, probably at like 12 or 13, when I watched the whole thing from beginning to end, the creepiest Chucky moment for me was the first moment Andy unwraps him, and he's just like, "Hi, I'm Andy." And the regular Chucky doll, the regular good guy mode, he just kind of, like, blinks his eyes, and he knows where to look to say, "Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end." Ha ha ha.
He doesn't do a hidey ho in this one.
Heidi Ho or whatever, I'm very tired. I'm sorry. My memory is shit. But anyway, so he looks at him. I got the cadence right, but anyway. But the eyes, just knowing where to look. I'm like, fuck no. No, my sister had a Teddy Ruxpin. If he ever would have, like, looked at me, fuck no. Demon. Get it out of my house. I want it. No, thank you. No, thank you. And I don't have a doll
of my house.
Get out of my house!
I love the mom's reaction because she's like, "Oh, hi, he's something, ain't he?" She's like just as enthusiastic about it as
I know.
As he is. Oh, she's so sweet.
Well, because she wants to see her child happy, and she has that wonderful.
She wants
laugh,
to see her child play.
Well done.
Title drop.
Well done.
Well, you're a child's play. I don't remember the first time I see that. You know what? I might have seen Bride first. Wow. I can't remember if I saw that in the theater, but it was subsequent to that I watched the 3, 1, 2, 3. But I'm pretty sure this was restricted in the U.S. because the MPAA has a thing where if you can say the F word twice. And if you say it any more than that, then you're automatically slapped with an R. Like, they do not like to hear fuck. and
Right.
and I think like just the content as well, like and any sort of like blood or stabbing, but yeah, because he has the I don't know like how many times he says like he says it in the elevator to the old lady and it's like
Fuck
you. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It is rated R. I just looked on IMDb. It is
Yeah.
rated R.
I think
there you go.
Yeah, I think maybe like because we don't have that. We have like we do have R, but that's more of like the NC-17. But NC-18. I think we're like up. It goes like up an age, so it's like we don't have PG-13, but we have 14A. And I think that's what it is. Like if I looked back on like the DVD, the old DVD I have, so that would be like PG-14 maybe. It's weird. I don't. None of that matters to me anymore because I'm old enough to be old and not like have to worry.
Right.
I
never really considered. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I paid attention when I was a kid just to see if it was accessible to me. But I don't pay attention to ratings at all because I don't have children. So if I did, maybe I would.
It was really exciting to sneak into movies though that I wouldn't have been able to see otherwise without a parental supervision person.
I don't think I ever did that.
Yeah,
I snuck into movies plenty just to like get free movies back in the day.
Well, I did that
spend
too.
A day at the movie theater and like watch
just
free movies but only pay for one. Kind of thing.
Yeah,
I've done that,
totally.
But...
Yeah, that's a rite of passage. That's What are they going to
do?
Arrest
I think
you?
Sneaking into horror movies that are like rated higher than your age. But I don't think I ever did that. I watched a few that I was too young for with my parents. In the house.
Well, the MPAA is a bunch of morons because these movies are, I mean, they're made for everyone, but they're specifically made for 12-year-olds to get familiar with the genre. So, and especially something like this, because I mean, like by today's standards, I don't see this as being, I don't know. I don't want to say anything because I got shit from you for saying that Scream should have been PG-13, but I would say, definitely like a 13-year-old should be able to see this without permission or a parent or guardian. But I would even say as low as like 10.
I mean, I'd really have to like think about it and invest thought in it because I do have this antithetical like almost reflex when it comes to the patrons of cinema who were kind of like deeming what was acceptable and what wasn't, namely critics like Siskel and Ebert, and stuff who would just one beloved horror movie after another, they would just trash and tank and criticize for like, don't tell me the R rating, like they know exactly who this film is geared toward and they just want to corrupt the youth of America. And I'm like, you know what? Shut up, Ebert. You fucking made like Valley of the Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, which has no socially redeeming values, but I love it.
I love that movie. But that was the first movie to be rated NC-17.
Dear God. Yeah. And here he is like raining down his wrath upon like these movies and calling them like, sexist and like irresponsible and fuck you.
I wonder what they said about Child's Play.
I bet they didn't like it. I have a feeling.
I'm gonna look it up.
Okay,
but if you have a thought that you want to say
while you're looking this up, well, I mean, because another thing that I really adore about this movie is that, like, I mean, I do agree that the story structure is very basic. It's really easy to explain this movie, which is probably why I didn't even feel the need to create a premise because it's almost too simple. But I love that. I mentioned like the stature of an actor like Chris Sarandon. One thing that I love about watching him play a detective is that he does everything he needs to be to hit kind of like the detective points you need that you would expect from, like a detective story or a movie about, like, or a thriller, something like that. But he's also got this wonderful, like, kind of humanity he brings to it that you don't necessarily associate. He doesn't take himself too seriously, which is just like when he's first in Karen's apartment after Aunt Maggie goes through the window and everything. And he's asking her about her kid and stuff like that. And she just has this wonderful moment where she's like, what are you implying? And he just has this moment where he responds to her going, I don't know. You know, it's so quote unquote detective. Like you wouldn't be encouraged to bring that into the audition room with you because, you know, there'd be the risk of you not getting the job. Yeah. But because detectives are serious, you know, and they're hardened. And then later on, when he's exiting the scene, she's basically throwing him out. And he stops her from shutting the front door on him, and he pushes it back open, and she's it's almost farcical. You almost get the sense like this could go into a rom-com direction because he just asks her, "Are you gonna call me?" In this most like kind of boyish, sweet kind of way. She's like, "What?" And he's just like, "No, I hate loose ends," you know. And it's so accessible, and it's just like he's so a career. Brooklyn. Yeah, but he's also like this career detective, you know? He's just like, but he's a human. He's a human too.
If Maggie was still alive, she would have been like, I think he was hitting on you. Get his number.
She totally would have.
Yeah. She'd be like, if you're not going to go for it, I will. But my favorite moment of his is when she like finally, like when she realizes like Chucky's alive and she goes to the precinct and he's on his way out. He's like going home for the night and she's telling him, and he does this like half eye roll is he's just like, yes, good night, Mrs. Barkley, and just as he's like turning around, he's not even like
so perfect
giving like the full like attention. It's just like, I'm already like half out of this conversation.
Absolutely.
But I did want to say I think that this movie does suffer from having kind of a dull middle act.
Really?
Yeah, because I found that a lot of what's going on at that point is that just sort of like, okay, she figures out that the doll's real, and then she goes to him, and now she's the one that it's like almost like a rinse and repeat thing. He doesn't believe her, but then he experiences it, and he believes her now. So it feels like a lot of time is wasted kind of going through the motions. And obviously this is the first movie, so that's important. Like, you know, we have to see this stuff play out because otherwise we're not going to get that in sequels when it's already established that the adults in this universe are, you know, deeply stupid and ignorant of what's going on. So I think that it works here. Like, I'm not saying that it's bad, but it's definitely like on rewatches, like it makes this one less rewatchable than, you know, say the second one where, you know, we spend that entire movie in Andy's perspective. So we already know, like, he can't rely on the grown-ups, where here it's sort of like, you have to believe me. And then as soon as she figures out, it's just like, well, who's going to believe me? That's kind of like by the end of the movie, the other cop, when he's just like, but who's gonna believe me? You know, like it's gonna be this endless cycle. And as we see, like effect. Even like now, like today, and I'm not necessarily spoiling anything from the series because I don't think that they've done this, but there's still so many adults that are disbelievers. Like you could literally, like we have the technology now to just like take out our phones and you could record Chucky and then just show it to the world, and then people would be like, oh, that's so cool how they did that. You know, like nobody, like that almost explains how Chucky would get away. Like, you know, he doesn't even have to be careful of being caught because people will just buy it as like, oh, that's really cool. That's a cool toy that he's able to do that. So it's almost like a testament to Chucky's strength as a killer among like all these other heavies, because he has the power of flying under the radar, where someone like Jason or Freddy or, you know, Michael, like there's only so much they can do before someone shuts down that operation, where they're just like,
he can hide in plain sight for an extended period of time until he decides to act. Absolutely. And there's always the question of like, is this doll possessed too? Like if there's multiple Chuckies, that's something in subsequent projects, shall we say. There's always a question of, well, a good guy doll arrived. is it possessed? Like, is it Chucky?
Probably.
You know?
Yeah.
Probably.
You gotta just wipe out every single good guy doll in existence. That's how you solve the problem. But then what's to stop him from going into something else? He can go into a G.I. Joe, you know?
Oh, God. That's my nightmare. But see, that's interesting, though, that you make that comment about the second act, because I think I understand what you're saying. I just feel it a little bit more in the third act, and that's not a criticism of like the third act as a whole. It's just a lot of kind of peaks and valleys. Like there are some golden moments, and then there's waiting for a little bit, and then there's another golden moment, and then I feel like I'm waiting for a bit, because by the time he's gone on full attack mode, like all charred and everything like that, there is plenty to glom on to, but there's also plenty of moments where I'm just kind of like, okay, get to it, wait, I can't wait for the thing that I want to happen, like either his bellowing, his almost operatic bellowing, like, give me the boy and I'll let you live, I say, you know? Or even, I love the door moment, where Karen is holding the door shut by the knob, and the knife is getting closer and closer to her face until finally she just lets out this...
She's not even moving her head.
I know.
She's still got it, like, what is going on there? Like, we did
her
that
fight
final...
or flight response, like, locks up, and I just feel... But it gives me that great moment of that... It's amazing.
It is amazing, but I'm just kind of like, because we did a final girl ranking for the Cherry Picker After Dark, and she was included, and I think she came out pretty good.
Yeah,
I don't remember if we addressed the door thing though, because that would definitely be that would strike a few points off. But
that's why she's not at the tippy top, but she's earned her spot, I think.
Yeah.
So
what I like, or at least like with the first act and the third act, because like the first act is like that mystery thriller. Like we don't know what's going on. We haven't seen the monster yet. Like there's only just the suggestion of the monster. So there's a lot more suspense. I find it's almost a different kind of horror at that point. The middle act, like the second act, like it's just a lot of exposition. It's a lot of just like going through the motions. The final act, like that's where like it's full on like Terminator Chucky, just going after.
He gets his Cronenberg moment.
Yeah.
But the only thing is like, and while I love that, I think, I don't know, maybe because the other sequences are more kind of either action packed or interaction packed. I can gravitate toward that. And in the third act, the thing is, because so much of it is kind of like dependent on tension, like waiting for the thing to happen, or like a lot of it feels like Tom Holland as the director, working to kind of like, build up this air of suspense that I just don't feel with this particular climax. It's much more kind of gratifying in its entertainment, value than it is in its kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Adrenaline payoff. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I don't know. I'm more so just thinking like, I wonder what Tom Holland feels about like not being the Tom Holland anymore.
Hashtag not my Tom Holland.
Who's this kid that came in and was Spider-Man, and now like nobody knows who I am anymore? They're just like Tom Holland.
That's not true.
Tom Holland directed Child's Play. When was he even born?
I have a feeling there are enough of us who remember the first Tom Holland.
Well, he did.
I mean, who knows?
Well, because he also directed Fright Night with Chris Sarandon again. Is Chris Sarandon's the brother of Susan, right?
No, they were married. Not. She was not.
Oh, they
were married. And they're not anymore. But
I don't know why I did that with my fingers. But,
yeah, right? What are you doing?
Scissoring.
That's obscene. But Chris Sarandon and Susan Sarandon are scissor sisters. But, so they're kind of related, but they're kind of married. No, they were married, and as I understand it, she liked his name and liked the way it sounded, at the end of her name.
Yeah.
So when they got divorced, she kept it like Tina Turner with Ike. But and I guess he was okay with it,
Okay.
But
yeah. Okay. So he
that's
did Child's
true.
Play, just the first one. I don't like he didn't have any involvement with the franchise after.
No, not as far as I knew. But and also he wrote the screenplay for Psycho 2, which is another close to my heart horror classic. But I also, I mean, I think there's also just like some, and Thinner. Yeah. But I think also just like in terms of the third act, there's things that like, I love it, but it also it's why I can't kind of take it too seriously is like the moment where I believe it's Karen holding the gun and she shoots Chucky in the leg, and for some reason getting shot in the leg propels him to spin backward and hit the wall like with his feet off the ground. Like I mean, maybe it's because he's so lightweight or something. I don't know, something about it, like the physics of it just didn't make any sense.
It also just felt like kind of like the ultra violent action movies of the late 80s of just like
maybe
limbs just like flying everywhere and like any sort of like gunshot, even if it was just like a small gun, would like send someone like flying back through like the wall. That's just kind of like that's how it was.
And there's also plenty of moments where I'm just kind of like, okay, he can feel pain. Like I just start getting questions over my head, like the nerd that I am. Where I'm just like, okay, he can feel pain and he's becoming more human, but the only way he can die is getting shot in the heart. But being completely dismembered in ways that would kill most people won't kill him. That's interesting.
I mean, it's voodoo, It's...
Yeah, apparently so. Oh, and there was one thing that I solved for myself, because I know even Don Mancini to this day takes issue with it. It's the way he kills Dr. Death, the alleged Dr. Death, by taking the little voodoo doll and using it to like break his legs and stabbing it and killing him and everything. And him saying, why if this is Don Mancini's criticism, why if he can do this just making a voodoo doll to kill him, why can't he just make voodoo dolls of all of his victims? It would save him so much time. He'd have such an edge on people. And I don't like that it was introduced that way, because also the voodoo was not introduced. That wasn't Don Mancini's original conceit. That was written in either by Tom Holland, or there was a subsequent prior to Tom Holland, but subsequent to Don Mancini. John Lafia was his name.
Yeah.
I don't know who put the voodoo in. I think it was Tom Holland.
I mean, not to like have a contentious opinion to Sir Don Mancini.
Don Mancini.
But I would argue that he wouldn't make the voodoo doll of like his victims, because he likes to have that personal relationship with the kill. Like it's even like I forget which movie it is and what the line is, but it's just like nothing like a good strangulation to get the like, what's the line?
I don't care. I just want to hear you do more Chucky impressions. That's
but if
so
I
great.
knew the line, it would.
I
it would
know.
be helpful,
I don't remember. Yeah. You know my memory's shit. We've already established that. But also I think that's a really, really good argument. The one that I came up with also was regarding voodoo. Can't you only use voodoo against other people if they believe in voodoo, and otherwise it won't work? Like if you believe in voodoo, then you can be hurt by it, or you can also be empowered by it. But if you don't, then it's like an impenetrable force or something. That's like probably just like some mythology that was rooted in my brain at a very young age, watching a bunch of really sorely referenced or sorely resourced horror movies.
I mean, voodoo at this point has become so integral to the mythology of the entire Chucky franchise that it's just like, obviously Don Mancini has embraced it at this point, but I despite whatever his rationale was, like, I'm glad that he didn't continue doing like voodoo doll deaths, because that's boring. It's I prefer to see it. The line is nothing like a strangulation to get the circulation going. Did that work for you?
Bold choice. Yeah, that's a lot of lation in that sentence. I like it.
He has so many good one-liners. I mean, more so there's not a lot. Not as many in this movie, but like definitely, in the rest of the franchise. There's always something. You know, my favorite one we've talked about from Cult. When they're when we're first introduced, spoilers sort of, we'll just say when there's multiple threats
there you go
there, and just like conversing with one another, and one of them says it behooves us to get rid of him, or just whatever his line is. And he's just like, behooves. Listen to yourself. You sound like Hannibal Lecter. I don't know where I went with that, but...
No, that's a great moment. Yeah. I don't want to... see, because now you're making me want to quote Cult, which I love.
We're gonna get through the
we're gonna get
the
there.
Sequels. We're dedicated to this. You know, we're definitely going to cover season 2 at some point. So,
yay!
You know, you can expect it. You can expect to find all the Child's Play movies eventually. Yes. You know.
Yes. All the projects that they've worked on. But another thing that except for the remake, but
I might even suggest that just so we have something to bitch about, you know.
Oh my God, I will have so much. I mean, it'll be a full pod. It might even be 3 hours, but people seem to like to hear us bitch about shit. And I'll have a lot to say if we ever do that one. But I also love, like, as far as, it's not even a line, it's just a bit of what I find to be physical comedy. It's almost a silent movie moment where Karen is looking for the name, the titular, he's entitled, like it's the name of his character. They never call him anything else. The peddler that she got Chucky from. And there's just a moment where she's talking to all these homeless people trying to find the peddler. There's one moment where she's just kind of like miming pushing a shopping cart, and then she kind of mimes like almost like she's saying, so he had a shopping cart and he had bad teeth. No? Oh, all right. And then she just goes on searching for him. It always gets a laugh from me. I mean, that's the thing, is like not all the one-liners or even all the sight gags or anything like that belong to Chucky in this movie. Like you already mentioned the "Good night, Mrs. Barkley," which is so perfectly timed from Chris Sarandon. And there's so many of those moments throughout this movie that just are like little arrows in my heart, but like Cupid arrows, you know, where I'm just kind of like, that's why I watch this movie. It's, I don't know, it's like a warm hug.
I mostly remember her because I think like my first with that actress was that she was the mom on Seventh Heaven. You know, Jessica Biel. Got the right Jessica that time, but like I never I that's not a show that I would ever watch, but it would like come on sometimes, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, what's this about? And I hated it so much, and I think I'd like automatically like I didn't like her because I didn't like her character or just like that family. But when I see her, like
one of those family positive TV shows, wasn't it? Where it's like we'll get through it together kind of things. I never saw it. So
just like gross. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah. I want to see like you get through it together because you had to battle a killer doll. But just like, but you know, like seeing her do this and just like and talking about it in interviews and stuff, because like she clearly, you know, like has a lot of respect for this franchise and you know even the movie. And I don't know, like we talked about this when we did the Chucky season 1 of just like her coming back. Like you really want to see her come back because she's been absent from the franchise since this movie. Like she's still canon, she's still spoken about and referenced.
She's still in photos. She's always in photos.
But bring her back. I want to see her. And she's like literally part of the family because she's married to Kevin Yagher. Did I say it right? Yeah,
that's right.
Who's the head puppeteer guy, right?
He was the creator. He designed the Chucky doll and everything. So sweet. I always love thinking about their love story too. They're so cute to watch when they're interviewed together. It's just, I don't know, it's just this there's this wonderful just kind of laid back feel. Like I would love to have a dinner party at their house You know, I'd probably.
It would just be the two of them, you, and then just like different Chucky dolls like seated at every.
Oh sure, because that's how they have dinner every night. Like,
that's the dinner party I wanna go to. But the animatronics are so impressive. Like this was like really groundbreaking for what it is, because like I was watching a few of the features, and they basically said that like this technology was really only prevalent or seen at like Disneyland, or just like, you know, on the rides, or like the It's a Small World, or things like that. So they were really the first ones to take that and use it in the pictures. So it really was innovative in the pictures. So it really was innovative, and I was just like watching, like he had a thing on his head, and like his facial movements would then be transmitted to the doll, and, you know, moving like that. And they had like 8 different dolls, that there was like a specific doll for like every thing that they needed Chucky to do, to the point where they literally like considered Chucky to be an actor, like to and of himself.
I mean, there's some great performance choices that they make. Like, I'm your friend to the end, remember? Blink, blink. You know. And then even when the aforementioned moment, I think when his Terminator Cronenberg, you know, kind of self. I think it's when he's beheaded already, and the body is he's just like, kill him, and I'm like, wow, there's a whole host of like logic that I'm not even keyed into.
He's now controlling the body from the
by
severed
telling
head.
it to kill them. But what I love about the body is it gets shot in the heart, and again propels backward, you know, because that's what happens. But if you look at, I believe it's the left arm, there's this whole kind of oh no, I've been hurt.
I was thinking like the Mrs. Voorhees
shaking fists. Yes,
what
it's
a
just
world!
this wonderful.
What a world!
Yeah,
that's what we needed in Friday the 13th. It's just like Mrs. Voorhees' head on the sand, just being like, "Get up, get up, grab the machete."
It's Talso. Is it Talso? That was his name, right? The guy who played Betsy Palmer's hands in Friday the 13th.
The hairy
and
knuckles,
it's also, and it is Margaret Hamilton with all the kind of majestic, swirls.
Yeah.
World, what a world. Because it does this weird kind of like, shaking a fist at the world, fade kind of thing.
I mean, well, because Chucky is very dramatic.
Yes.
Charles Lee Ray is just very dramatic, because he gets shot at the beginning when he's still played by Brad Dourif, and he gets shot, and he's just sort of like, he looks down and he's just like, "You killed me," or whatever. He's just like, he's still alive, but it's just like, "I'm gonna get you, my pretty."
No matter what, shaking fist and everything. I love.
I'm gonna use my last breath to basically like condemn you, and Eddie Caputo too. I'll get you, my pretty, and Eddie Caputo too.
He is that level of villainy. But even I love even just his vulnerability when he does get shot and he's running and Eddie Caputo's driving away. It's just like, no, don't leave me, no. Which is interesting, because I never created this parallel in my head. That's also Andy's line when has his little breakdown in his cell. He's like, he's gonna kill me. Don't leave me, please. Don't leave me. I'm like, oh wow.
Well,
Never noticed they had both been abandoned by the people who were, basically there to help them, to give them a leg up, so they would be a team and solid.
That's what makes the best villain, is someone who can relate to our hero.
Yeah.
Something about the dichotomy of.
Don't with that word. Don't with that fucking word. If anybody doesn't understand, we've had many conversations about this word.
Okay.
Off-pod.
But regardless, like that, like you do bring up a good point, because there is. I mean, obviously the reason why this franchise like has the longevity that it does is because there is like so many rich themes and subtext to it, that you'd have to have characters like Charles Lee Ray and Andy that would have to relate to one another on some sort of level for this battle to be going on for almost like over 30 years now, like 35 years at this point. And
it loads the canon more than adequately, because one of my favorite pieces of the script is Chucky's kind of like, I don't know if it's temptation or seduction, but I mean just like the lie he weaves to entice Andy to trust him and believe him is that he was sent by his dead father, by Andy's dead father, to play with him. And I'm like, what? Like, that is despicable. That is absolutely, like, that is some dark shit if you think about it as a grown man telling a little boy, you know? Like, that's Phantom of the Opera level. Like, again, we're going to like these classic, you know, like heavies, like The Wicked Witch of the West and Phantom of the Opera. But it's manipulative and it's so fucked up, and it gives more than like a kind of betrayal. There's also this air of dare I say puppetry with Chucky, you know, kind of like working the Andy mechanism, as it were, but like finding things that mean something to him and manipulating him that way. I always find that, like, I always think whenever I hear that part, I'm like, good choice. That was a really good choice. Whoever wrote that, you get a gold star.
I think that, so the thing with Chucky is I think like a lot of people underestimate him, and I'm not talking about like characters in the movies, because obviously they do, but just like the general audience, because there's been the polls like who's the most dangerous, who would win in a fight, and people are just like, well, it's clearly not Chucky, because, you know, you could just like punt him across the room or something like he's just easy to take out. But like the thing is, like, you bring up a really good point. Like, he's manipulative. Like, he will get in your head. He's tenacious. Like, he will come after you. Like, you know, you can kill him. He will find a way to come back, and he will ruin your life. Like, he is a gaslighter, and like not only to you, but he will gaslight everyone around you to make you look like an asshat. I don't know why I kind of like went like, I'm gonna make you look like an asshat if you don't give me what I want. So I think
what's an asshat, Chucky? Chucky.
I love Andy's just like, it's like, but Chucky said that Aunt Maggie got what she deserved because she was a bitch, or, you know, whatever the line is.
She was a real bitch and got what she deserved.
How could you say that?
It was Chucky. Yeah. Or I told you she'd get mad if you watched the news. Yeah. Anyway.
Also, just going back to like the good guy phenomenon of just like this being a huge thing. One thing that I noticed that I was just like, what? When he's dropped off at school, there's like 5 other kids who are got a Chucky doll that they're or not Chucky, but a good guy doll that they're taking to school.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I know do you remember the My Buddy dolls, or did you have them around like
no, that doesn't sound
while
familiar.
You were coming up? Okay, because we had them.
We had trolls.
Yeah, we had trolls too.
I always gave them haircuts. Sometimes I would just cut it down to like the
Oh my god, you'd give them little crew cuts and flat tops and shit. That's so cute.
Yeah.
No, we were obsessed with trolls. There was a whole troll store in my neighborhood that we would always visit when we went to this one El Torito. But anyway, for like Sunday brunch and stuff. And then there'd be a treat. We'd go to the troll store as a family. Anyway, a little glimpse into my childhood. But but My Buddy, I remember I was a little old for them, so I didn't get one. But I remember the commercials. They had a theme song that I still remember to this day. It was, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy. Wherever I go, he goes. My buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy and me. And then it was so successful. It was kind of like a good guy sized doll. I only remember seeing them white. But then I saw it was popular enough that they started making them for girls, and that commercial was always right on the tail of the My Buddy commercial. After a particular, period of months where it'd be Kid Sister, and it'd be the exact same song. Kid Sister, Kid Sister, Kid Sister, Kid Sister, wherever I go, you're gonna go. Anyway,
okay. Yeah.
So,
We
and
got
then you
it.
could get all of them. But the Kid Sister came in blonde hair, white girl, or black girl. And I don't remember ever seeing a black My Buddy, though. Either way, I'm out.
Wouldn't that be interesting if there was a black good guy?
Oh my god!
They've kind of moved away from, I don't think good guy exists, at least in terms of where, it's considered a vintage doll at this point. The company obviously doesn't exist anymore. But
it's like a specialty thing.
Yeah, but if it
hot topic.
Yeah, if it came back in a way in the franchise, and they're just now you can get a good guy in all different races, and
that would actually be kind of amazing.
Yeah.
If Don Mancini's writing it, because I know he would handle it, with sensitivity and compassion.
Yeah.
But that'd be amazing. Because also that's another thing that's an element of the good guy dolls that I appreciate is the fact that they're all exactly the same, which was not the market for many of those kinds of dolls. Even watching last night, I was remembering the dolls I had. I had a Cabbage Patch. His name was Maurice, and I didn't like that name, so I renamed him Jimmy. And even though there were, who knows how many hundreds of thousands more identical to him, there were also other models with different color hair, different color eyes, different color. Mine had brown hair and brown eyes because I have brown hair or had brown hair and brown eyes. Now I'm gray and my eyes are somewhat black.
Salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper. Where's the salt and pepper good guy? Make it happen. I want my
grandpa good guy.
I want my Brad Dourif aging Child's Play 1 good guy doll with his receding hairline. That would be.
I would want it like Brad Dourif in Halloween 2 when he's got the scraggly long hair.
Yeah, right.
The Rob Zombie Halloween 2.
The Rob Zombie. Oh God, yeah. Just give me a Rob Zombie doll. But no, actually, but you know what? To go back to something you touched on with people arguing about well, obviously I wouldn't pick Chucky to be the thing that would be able to take anyone else in the horror genre, any kind of other horror heavies because stupid reasons in slot here. But for me, I also think the scare factor is wholly underestimated because I have a friend who owns a good guy doll. I don't like being in the room with it. There's something about that presence. It feels like a presence. It's big enough. It's child-sized, like a preschooler or something. And I always expect its eyes to look at me. It makes me very uncomfortable. If anybody listening has a good guy doll, good for you. Yeah. I hope you enjoy it. I would need it to be out of whatever room I'm occupying, or I was going to say even put it behind me just so I don't have to see it, but I'd probably be mindful of oh my God, it's behind me.
I've been thinking about getting one.
I couldn't.
They probably fetch a pretty penny.
Yeah, probably. But I didn't ask how much it is because I don't do things like that. Yeah. But no, I don't think maybe a Tiffany doll. I think I'd be cooler around a Tiffany doll. Not because she's any less, but she poses any less of a threat than Chucky does. But I think because she's basically
she'll make you cookies and Swedish meatballs.
But also because she's
slave
kind of
over a hot
out,
stove.
She's kind of punked up and everything like that. If she's got the wedding gown, but the leather jacket over it and the black nails and everything. I can get into that. There's something about the earnest innocence in the good guy doll as it's as it's introduced in this movie that's what unsettles me. I don't like irony in a doll or in even in a villain because it's almost oh, but look how sweet it is. Look how cute it is. Don't you want one? No, I don't, because there's darkness in that thing. It's a lie. That innocent smile is a fucking lie. And that's scary to me. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, fair enough. I just think he's dangerous, and he's not above, like, he doesn't discriminate who he kills. Whereas I feel like Jason and Michael discriminate. They're like, oh, here's a baby. I'm not going to kill it, you know? Like, doesn't matter, you know?
Well, Jason's pretty indiscriminate, isn't he? Has Jason let people live? He's let people in Manhattan.
He was on a tear to get those two, and they deserved it. We talked about this last week or the week before. But literally, like, walking on the subway, I think he, like, shoved a girl, like, just to get out of my way. He
could have, like, now.
He could have, like, punched through her spine. He was just like, get out of my way. He
should have killed all those people on that subway.
Yeah.
Chucky would have killed him.
He killed, I mean, we're going into Jason Takes Manhattan podcast here, but he killed the sewer maintenance guy. I think that was it. And the one played by the short order cook, played by future Jason.
Ken Kirzinger.
Yeah. I don't think he killed him. He just threw him into the mirror like that. He would not be killed by that. You know, he would get right back up and just be like, well, that was something. But
I mean, Chucky didn't kill the woman who said ugly doll, but he did have something personal against the Barkleys.
But I would also say that, like, priorities, you know, he had to do something.
Yeah.
He clearly was on a time crunch. You know, he was turning.
Yeah.
But
so
if he would have
succeeded, he would have found her and killed her later.
Yeah.
Totally.
Or he would have just killed them right then and there. You know, he would have just got up and been like, presto, you're dead. You know,
presto, I'm a magician now. What you're about to see is an illusion, an act of prestidigitation. I'm Chucky.
He would have like an elevator pun because they were in an elevator. It's just like uplifting, isn't it? You know. Like,
oh my god.
I mean, if that was like Chucky today, like they would have been killed. It was just they were just there for a comedic moment. But like, yeah, he will kill children. He will kill grannies. You know, did he kill dogs or cats? Yes. Yeah, he did. Okay, we won't say when. We won't say when, but
Yeah. Oh no, we'll save it for another pod. But I did want to ask you. I do want to ask you. I'm curious. That theme that they don't play in the movie, but it plays over the end credits. It's usually what they play over the menu of whatever disc this happens to be playing on, and it's usually
like a tingly triangle.
Yeah, the chimey thing. Yeah. Does it remind you of anything?
Sort of. What, though?
Okay. Because I was driving for work like a number of weeks ago, and Love is a Battlefield, sung by Pat Benatar, came on. And I was like, oh my god, it's the fucking Child's Play end credits theme. Because she's literally singing like, love is a battlefield. And then you hear chime. 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 Yeah. And it's the first three chimes. And I'm like, oh my, and love is a battlefield. Chime. And I'm like, oh my god, it is almost, I don't know if it's exact, but it's those minor chords that are kind of like the same distance away from each other. It fucked me up. I was just kind of like, this is a creepy song now, because I actually find that theme very creepy.
Most music is very repetitive or derivative of something, you know. It's just like it's the same three chords over and over again, you know. What's that Madonna song where it's literally the same chord?
Right.
Repeat.
It's a lot of people do it with like Bernard Herrmann scores and everything like that. But I believe Pat Benatar's song predates Child's Play. I don't know for sure, but I don't know. I'd put money on it. I'd bet money on it. If anybody knows, hit me up in my DMs. But excuse me. So I just wanted to point that out because I've heard a lot of podcasts and discussions of this movie, and no one has ever brought that up. So I wanted to.
Well, there you have it. We're the first one to make the correlation to Pat Benatar.
There you go.
In Child's Play.
Yeah. I don't have much more. I have some minor things, but I don't even need to bring them up because they're so minor.
Well,
Do you have anything else
let's
address?
finish it off before we get to the cherry picker with your minor things. Are they quibbles or are they?
No, not
they
really.
bits?
I don't have a lot of. Are they quibbles or bits? Oh God, the dad joke. It's been a while, but we got
dads,
one.
Yeah.
No. Oh, there was one thing that I appreciated, just in terms of like, again, I guess the accessibility or the plausibility of the situation. It made it a little bit more human. Is just after everybody vacates the apartment when Aunt Maggie, falls from the window and whatnot, or jumps, or there's a big mystery about it, and Andy and Karen are sitting in his room, and he's talking about Chucky, and she's getting really frustrated and saying, and really scared, like Chucky is a doll. Do you he's made of plastic. Do you
understand
do you
that?
think,
Yeah.
You can't think he's made of anything else, do you? And he just does this thing where it's just like, because she's like, Andy, stop it. And he gets all, you're just yelling at me because you're upset about Aunt Maggie, aren't you? Something like that. And she has this wonderful moment where she kind of deflates. Because again, like the emotional heights, her friend just died, her good friend, maybe her only friend. We didn't see anybody else in the movie, like showing up for her. So
I'm going to say that she probably was, because she might have gone to those friends before or even after going to Detective Mike, who dismissed her at that point. Yeah,
we don't even see her on a phone call like after that to anybody else. So I think that was her only friend. Maybe they were, maybe they didn't live in Chicago originally. Maybe they moved there because it was less expensive than a big house out in, like in a suburban area. So she moves to an urban area because it's closer to where she can get a job, and who knows. And then she made a friend, and then her friend ended up getting killed. Because that's another thing. I love just like her discovery of it when Detective Mikey just shows her the scene of the crime, like the broken window and everything, and she's just kind of touching her mouth, weeping, just going, oh, Maggie, just like mourning her and everything. And she literally has to like shake her head and snap out of it when he asks her about the footprints in the baking powder, I guess, or the flour.
Yeah.
And anyway, but Andy's perspective of what his mom's going through and the way he adjusts, that, I don't know, it just, again, lends this air, this dimension, this level of realism that I don't find in many movies that would probably be tackling this kind of subject matter. Like, you'd think it's a movie about a killer doll, so let's just throw out any kind of verisimilitude or any kind of like heartfelt moments. They really make you care about this family unit, this struggling, it's two people, struggling in the world. And the fact that he even sees how upset his mother is, calls her out on it. Now, not like in a bitchy way, like, Mommy, you're just yelling at me because, he's not like that. but it's apologetic, because there's this sweetness in his delivery afterwards of like, I'm sorry, I'll stop making up stories. And it just made me think about, again, being a kid, and anytime, sometimes if you're in trouble, even if you're in trouble for something you didn't do, you might just cop to it anyway because it'll make things run more smoothly, which also sets up why he just kind of rolls with the punches with everything that Chucky tells him to do and just doesn't really think about it much. He's a 6-year-old boy. And so all of that, I don't know, all of that's just feeding the fire for me. Like, I love the setup of this movie so much, and I love the way it sets up what follows. That's a good way to
totally. By the way, did I mention what Roger Ebert scored this?
I'm gonna get mad. Go for it.
Well, he gave it 3 stars, which I think that's based on a 4-star rating.
Really?
And it looked like, I just skimmed, but it looked like he was favorable towards it. So,
really?
Yeah. Really.
All right, I shouldn't speak ill of the dead. Eddie said Roger Ebert was a bitch and got what he deserved.
Are you gonna say like Roger Ebert is dead? Good. Roger Ebert is dead.
I can't wait until we do The Shining and the rest of this franchise.
I can't think of a thing to say. let's get to the cherry picker.
It's not like we kill people. On purpose.
First order of business, we gotta pick a cherry on top. And I'm open. I'm open.
So am I.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Oh, no.
Like, everybody's so fucking good. Okay. Because as far as we know, like wherever we are in the franchise, we know one thing. We're both still waiting for one character to come back. Actually, we're waiting for more than one, though, because I'm waiting for Detective Mikey to come back, too.
Yeah.
But Karen Barkley, I mean, like, there's plenty of opportunities to give Andy, Chucky, you know, not Aunt Maggie, but but or Dr. Death, but
Yeah.
I'd be perfectly comfortable giving Karen Barkley, Catherine.
Okay,
Hicks,
let's give
cherry on top.
her dues.
Yay!
Maybe that'll be incentive for, is she on Instagram? We can tag her.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
well,
Yeah, let's find her.
Let's
find her.
Let's say Karen Barkley.
Okay.
Now for the fun part, for the cherry picker. Because last week we asked you who deserves to die the most in House on Haunted Hill. I nominated Donald W. Blackburn, MD. You nominated Stephen Price.
Yes.
Across Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, we have 415 for Blackburn versus 254 for Price.
Wow.
Yeah. You were wrong.
How was I wrong?
Because the people have said so.
Let's not get into elections.
We're gonna let's hear what's
let's
some of
hear
the
what
comments
people have
were.
to say. I'm anxious to hear them.
Jeremy Huff says Steven was just so charismatic and knew exactly what it takes to terrify people. Blackburn, however, was just the other man and had it coming from the beginning. Thanks for always entertaining me while working my graveyard shift job, guys. Well, thank you for listening, and thank you for making the right vote.
Go on.
Matthew Dourif. I'm sorry. I'm not even going to attempt that one.
Okay.
One of my favorite horror movies and a good example of a remake done well. So excited to watch. You know, that's a case for neither of the nominations, but I'm glad that
he's on your side.
Matthew agrees that this is a good movie because a lot of people did. Neon Icon says, it's been forever since I've seen this movie, so I can't quite remember Blackburn's role, but I remember Price is the catalyst for what takes place, so for that reason alone, I choose him. I wouldn't say that he's the catalyst.
I mean,
Evelyn's the catalyst.
Can I also say, like, I think what influenced my decision is the fact that, like, I've seen Jeffrey Rush play a slithery, kind of like lounge lizardy kind of character before in Mystery Men, which I think was released around the same time as House on Haunted Hill. He played Casanova Frankenstein. And I don't know, I'm just overseeing him, like, be slimy and gross. Because he is slimy and gross to me in the movie. I just... Yeah. So that's what motivates my choice. You know me. It's personal.
You don't like slimy or gross, I know.
Next.
Anthony DePuzzo says, Blackburn. Gold-digging evil man, couldn't stand him. Price was just trying to give everyone a good scare. This movie is a blast, so nostalgic for me.
Oh, God.
Silent Saturn says, Blackburn. He is the definition of a why are you here character. He serves no purpose apart from that one twist scene, which really doesn't impact the plot much in the end and is then completely forgotten. I guess Peter Gallagher is nice to look at. But if you have Taye Diggs around, that's all the eye
Yeah.
candy you need. So there's really no point to him. I always remember Peter Gallagher the most for playing Sandy on the OC. That's. I mean, like, I've always seen him, and because he's just one of those like character actors that's in everything, like especially in the '90s. But it wasn't until like the OC came on that he just like kind of became like a household fixture. I'd just be like,
For you.
there's the OC. You never watched the OC? You never got into that?
No. I was over that kind of television by the time I was whatever age it was.
The OC was like the last like good, what I would call like, that's like the Melrose Place like Fox teen young adult
but I was
dramas,
over that. I didn't need a
I mean, I was
Melrose
over
Place
that.
in my life
I was
anymore.
probably over that too, but I glommed onto it. Okay.
What year was that released? Anyway?
That was
What the
released
first season?
2003, I believe.
So I was 23. Yeah, I had a whole other appetite at that point. I'd moved on from
The
track
kids
TV.
in that show were like older than like I think.
I know
the main character was like,
but they were still
26.
playing teens.
Yeah.
I heard about what was it, Chris McQuanzica or whatever it was, and I was like, oh,
I
that's
don't know.
interesting.
I don't know.
And I thought Adam Brody's cute. I don't know. Just not about it. Just not about
Anyway,
it.
that's where I remember Peter Gallagher from the most.
Okay.
Craig says, "Ooh, haven't watched that in ages. I'm gonna find out and watch it tomorrow after work."
Oh, okay.
I have a feeling that Craig chose Blackburn though.
Sure. I mean,
Tom,
the odds are.
yeah. Thomas Baker, I like Peter Gallagher, but what he did was so disturbing, and I saw that scene with Zachary Quinto in American Horror Story Asylum. I've never seen.
I saw Asylum.
Yeah.
I liked Asylum. That was a good season.
Yeah.
It's dark.
Grant Dempsey, I'm torn. Blackburn is in way over his head trying to be a player in the Price's game, and he deserves to go for the attempt. But I could watch Jeffrey Rush chew the scenery, so maybe he deserves the cherry picker more. That was my initial thought. Just so that he can stick around and haunt that building forever. All right, yes, I've decided I'm voting Price, but it's a vote of love, okay? Blackburn doesn't deserve ghostly immortality. Well, I think that what that could have been
That's
was a cherry
adorable.
on top, but
That's adorable. I like that.
Sawyer Fan 87 says, I'm just mad they used Islands of Adventure as a prop. Incredible Hulk ride deserves better, so I'll pick Mr. Price just for that.
That's amazing.
From here on out,
I
it
love
gets
the-
real scary.
I just love the reasoning behind like
Yeah.
what motivates like some of our votes here. Like it's amazing. It's always enlightening.
CL says, Blackburn, such a chump. He wasn't the most evil character, but allowed himself to be so easily and obviously played by Famke. He's like a more pretentious version of Charlie from Scream 4, and that's saying something.
Wow.
I would have never
More
made that
pretentious
correlation.
version. Yeah, I didn't either, but now I'll never forget it.
Blue Box 87 says, Blackburn, he was evil and dumb. At least Price managed to scare Lisa Loeb.
That is hilarious.
Kira Wood says Blackburn. And Adrian Ramirez says, Price did nothing wrong. His wife is the real villain.
Oh, I take issue with that.
It's true. True.
No, but the female villain, I mean, so was Julia, but you know, I have an affinity for those characters. These, you know, venomous women
That's
who just
sexist.
want more out of life. No, these venomous women who just want more out of life. Like, I get it.
Okay.
So.
Well, I get first dibs.
Yeah.
For nominations. I wrote this character's name down. We didn't even talk about this particular person, but I had to write
Okay.
their name down because I would have forgotten. But my nomination goes to Walter Criswell, who is the department store manager that I or supervisor of Karen. Just a really obnoxious gay person. Just a real... this guy was basically written and acted to be a victim of Chucky. This would have been what would have made like a more entertaining second act for me, is if, maybe Karen during her frantic runaround, still had to go to work, and Chucky followed her there, and then was like killing other people, and it was like,
he could have killed Criswell.
Because he definitely deserved it. He was awful. He was just rude to
I agree.
both of them. Yeah, Karen and Maggie. What was his line or she? Because first of all, like there's got to be like certain regulations for a workplace like that. You can't just come in the middle of someone's shift, and because someone else like didn't show up for work, demand that person stay longer.
It happens all the time, though.
It does. But you can say no. You're not obligated to. And he acted as though it was, and then even Maggie was like, "I'll cover," and he's like, "Well, you work in shoes," and then she says something like, "Whatever, I'll watch Andy. It'll be the hottest date I've had in months," and he's like, "I couldn't imagine why," like, like.
I love that take from Aunt Maggie, though. Yeah. Dinah Manoff does that great kind of like weary, just kind of like, "You're kind of right," face. Yeah. When she looks at him like really, Criswell, you had to nail me right now. Yeah. But all right.
Yeah. I'm going with him.
Have you made your case? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I completely forgot about him, and he does antagonize me. But okay, I'm sorry to make this choice, but I have another kind of peripheral character who just rubs me the wrong way. And nothing against the actor who plays him, Jack Calvin. I've seen photos of the man himself in other movies, and he's a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Just like, like kind of pleasant looking man, just fine. He looks like a human being. But in this movie, I can't tell if it's the glasses or maybe it is, but I get from Dr. Ardmore, the doctor who basically imprisons Andy and who gets the little, electrodes on his head, cranium and whatnot, and dies an ugly, nasty death. Mm-hmm. Dr. Ardmore, though, ever since the first time I saw this movie in context, I didn't get the vibe when I was like in fourth grade, fifth grade, whatever age I was when I first saw the little ding, like crown. But then when I watched it again, like at 12 or 13, and ever since, every time I watch this movie, I get pedo vibes from him. And not from the actor, but just from the character and the way he's dressed and the way I don't know, I don't like him. I always want like somebody to like rescue Andy from him. I always just want like get Andy away from him. Like when he picks him up at one point, like he's holding him from behind and everything, and he's just like whispering in his ear. I'm just like, I need a shower. It's so gross. So he bothers me on a molecular level. So I'm just gonna pick him again. I've said it before. I think I'm a basic aesthetic bitch who just like, if I don't like the look of you, it's over. And there's nothing that he does.
You are kind of shallow that way, yeah.
I absolutely am. And so I sorry. He never does anything to redeem himself either for me to be like, oh, okay, he's fine. No, he dies too soon, and he's creepy every time he's on screen. Really upsets me. And so I choose Dr. Ardmore. Sorry, Jack Calvin. Rest in peace.
Okay. Well, there you have it. You can vote your heart and your conscience for either Walter Criswell or Dr. Ardmore. The polls will be open on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. You can also vote on Patreon if you're supporting me over there. And I do want to welcome some new Patreon supporters. So welcome to
Ooh.
Ingrid Trans Rights, Haven, and Phil Woobold. So thank you very much. Welcome aboard. Love having you here. And
Absolutely.
also, shout out and thank you to Andre Felix, who painstakingly edits all of this that you see. If you do want to support on Patreon, you do get these episodes earlier than the normal release dates. We also do our bonus episode, The Cherry Picker After Dark, which we mention all the time. But this month, it is Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 3. So that is The Cherry Picker After Dark. And that is available to all of my Patreon supporters who are supporting on the Freddy Krueger tier. If you want to follow us on social media, the Instagram is The Cherry Picker Pod. Twitter, I don't know. It's like... I'll just put the link down below because there's like no vowels. Because I was trying to like do it because I just made it. I don't even know if I'm gonna like keep doing it because it's not very.
Twitter,
Twitter's
kind of a
like
wasteland
a shitstorm, but it's also like I don't like the algorithm is just weird.
Yeah.
But if you are new to the Cherry Picker and you are listening to us, you can watch us on YouTube. Please subscribe in any event. But you'll find that at The Cherry Picker. And if you are watching us on YouTube, if that's how you found us, you can also listen to these streaming on whatever podcast platform you use. The RSS feed link is in the descriptions down below. Eduardo, where can they find you on Soch?
Well, you can on Soch, you can find Eduardo at Edward is Truth. I think I am Edward is Truth on Twitter, but I'm never on, so don't follow me there. Go to Instagram, follow me there, and go to YouTube, follow me there. I have a collection of videos, and there's more coming because I'm going to be unemployed soon, so I'll have nothing but time.
By choice. Yeah.
By choice. I've made the decision, and God. A week and a half, folks. Pray for me if you do that. And if not, just send light. And if you don't do that, DMs. How about you, Zach Cherry?
Well, you can find me on YouTube under Zach Cherry. That's ZACKCHERY.
He wouldn't say Zed.
What would he say, Z?
He say Z because he's from the U.S. Yeah. From Jersey. Say Z.
Okay. That's ZACK Cherry on YouTube and on Instagram at Retro Bitch Face. And Twitter is Zach Cherry 8. That's the number 8.
You are doing the premise for Child's Play 2. For all the rest of the franchise, you have to. I will write it just so you can do it.
Okay. Literally, I can't do any other impression, but I somehow...
Oh, you can. I've heard you.
It's just a Jack Nicholson. It's just like a...
Yeah. But you've also got like a natural kind of like, you know... Like crinkle or gravel to your voice that I can't, I'm flawed
the whininess. Yeah.
No, not the Just like where your voice sits, like on your vocal cords. It's just right for Chucky. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Well, what do we got going on next week?
Shit. I knew, and I forgot. You have to tell me. Zach! Okay, I'm going to cue you now. Yeah. Zach, what do we got going on next week?
Well, we got the dead that is evil, but it's the second one.
Dead by Dawn! Dead by Dawn!
Dead by Dawn!
Dead by Dawn! Yeah, that one.
I'll swallow your soul!
Yeah. Swallow your soul! Swallow your soul! See, I can do that.
There you go.
No problem.
Evil Dead 2 next week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we will be right back.